Arlene, did you shoot Norm too?
Yes. He was relieved me.
We all want to be loved.
First time I met her, I said, I had a bad feeling about her.
But when it's an obsession,
I was extremely jealous.
love can be lethal.
The old, if I can't have you, nobody will.
The telltale signs of the possessor.
She gave up all the other relationships, and now she's walking away.
As a former FBI profiler, I'm often asked, can you spot a killer? Is it a look, an attitude, a pattern of behavior? After 40 years' experience, I can say it's complicated. But there's one thing I know. There is a deadly type. In 1985, drag queen Brandy West is the talk of Texas. Within a year, she'll be gone. And the man behind the makeup, Cliff Ewens, will face life in prison for a brutal murder. You were gorgeous.
Thank you. Getting in drag for me was an empowering thing.
In what way?
Because I could walk into a room as myself and people wouldn't notice me. If I was in drag, I was beautiful and I could stop traffic. So doors would open, I'd get all that extra attention.
When I met Cliff in 2014 in a Wichita Falls prison, there was no trace of the brash and confident Brandy West. What does remain is the terrible regret of a possessor who could not control his jealous rage.
How old was Patrice when you met her?
I think 20.
And you were?
31.
31, so that's a bit of an age difference. Was she your first serious relationship with a woman? I mean, serious.
Yes.
Move in, I love you, serious.
Definitely.
When 20-year-old Patrice LeBlanc hooks up with Cliff, she has no idea who she's dealing with. I'm not talking about the fact that Cliff dressed in drag. Patrice knew all about Brandy. And Cliff's bisexuality didn't bother her either. What she didn't know, but would soon find out, was that anyone that Cliff loved had to be all his all the time.
I was extremely jealous. Oh, I was very jealous. I'm with my lovers. I've always been
You've always been jealous.
Very jealous, very possessive.
Cliff displays classic signs of the possessor in an earlier relationship with a male partner.
And I was probably very hard to live with because
In what way were you hard to live with?
I was becoming famous. I had a lot of hangers-on, you know. Everybody was backstage. Everybody wanted to hang with me, be near me. And it was very hard, and I was probably becoming a little obnoxious, you know, egotistical.
Were you having arguments?
We would have arguments. Every time he left, I would find him. He would go hide because he knew if I got near him and I talked to him and I turned on the charm, he was back. He was back that night. If I could get to him, he was going to be back.
If you could get to him, you could get to him.
I could get to him. I could get to him.
A healthy relationship is based on equality and mutual respect. Cliff's intense need to keep his boyfriend is a red flag. A possessive person is threatened by the mere thought that they could lose their partner. They're very, very insecure. They cannot imagine a future without that person in their life.
Patrice became pregnant.
Yes.
And what did you think of that? How did you feel about that?
I was more than fine with it. I was more than fine with it. I'm 32. I'm ready to settle down. I was ready to quit drag. I was ready to do anything because I was just happy. I thought, a kid, oh, this is great. This is like the ice cream on the cake. She was not. She was not. I think she was ambivalent about settling down. She was probably ambivalent about, am I the person she really wants to settle down with? I mean, I'm just being truthful.
Did Patrice want to terminate the pregnancy?
Yeah, all throughout I said, it's your decision. This is not my decision.
For the possessive personality, the two key triggers are abandonment and jealousy. First, Patrice terminates the pregnancy, and Cliff becomes very insecure she's going to leave him. Then she's offered a secretarial job by a good-looking businessman. For a possessor like Cliff, it's the perfect storm.
We started the argument about going to work for this guy, and I was going, nobody is going to pay you that kind of money when you can't type, you know nothing, you've never been a secretary, so something fishy, you're not going to do that.
So you suspected
yeah.
something was up. Were you shouting at each other?
Got loud. I said something, she slapped me. I slapped her. Oh, that was it. She said, oh no, we're not doing this, I'm leaving. She went into the other room, started packing.
Cliff should have let Patrice walk out the door. This wasn't the first time Cliff became possessive and controlling. Patrice had seen it before, but she was so young, I think she just didn't assess the situation properly. She was in danger. A possessive personality like Cliff Ewan's simply cannot endure being abandoned. When Patrice said, I'm leaving you, and started to walk out the door, Cliff acted on a base, primal level. He was panicked.
There was a knife there on the counter from where we'd been eating some fruit earlier, and I took the knife and I just went at it.
Do you remember that moment, Cliff?
Mm-hmm. I live it every day.
What's it like for you?
28 years of hell.
What do you think happened that resulted in you picking up that knife?
I guess the old, if I can't have you, nobody will. There's nothing to blame for it. There's no drugs. There's no alcohol. There's nothing to blame for it but me.
Your temper.
My temper, my ego.
How many times did you stab her?
About 39.
What was that all about?
You know, after I started, I wanted to end it. I knew I'd already done something really wrong, and I kept thinking, I want this over. I wasn't thinking, oh, call a hospital. I was just thinking, I need to end this. And the whole time I'm thinking, you know what you're doing? You've ended your life. I remember doing it at the same time thinking, you know you're going to get the death penalty for this.
Those thoughts went through your head.
Right during it, I'm thinking that. Thinking my whole life was over right there.
How can someone kill the only person they claim to love so intensely? Cliff felt intense pain. I think he killed her to end the pain he was feeling. And he ended that pain 39 times. Cliff tells friends and family that Patrice has broken up with him and left town. He wraps up her body, weighs it down, and dumps it in a lake. But not everyone believes him, not even his mother.
She goes, goes, do we need to talk? And I'm like, no, we don't need to talk. She goes, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm positive. And she goes, Cliff, did you do this? And I'm like, no, hello, no. And at that point, it wasn't trying to cover everything up. I didn't want to hurt her.
Sure.
I didn't want to hurt her.
But when Patrice's body surfaces 2 weeks later, it's wrapped in Cliff's bathrobe, and he becomes the prime suspect. Cliff maintains his innocence, but the jury finds him guilty of murder, and he's sentenced to life in prison.
You denied it for 7 years, and then you admitted it. That's uncommon.
Just, it can only eat at you so long. You know, you wanna start forgiving yourself, because that's where it starts, with forgiving yourself, but you can't forgive yourself if you're lying to everybody.
True.
The possessor isn't necessarily a psychopath. They do have a conscience. But sometimes their obsession takes over, and Cliff has some advice for anyone who finds themselves in that situation.
Look into your soul with every action that you do, because for every action, there is a reaction, and you will pay for it every day for the rest of your life.
Outwardly, Erin Everett is the polar opposite of a flamboyant drag queen. She's a devoted caregiver and as quiet as a church mouse. People like that make me nervous, the quiet ones, because you don't know what they're thinking.
The first time I saw Erin Everett, she was 25, but she looked like she was really like 14. You wanted to just put your arms around her. She looked like she would blow away in the wind.
When Erin meets 21-year-old Tori Minnick, a fellow nurse at the retirement home where she's working, she's emboldened to finally come out as gay.
She saw Tori and she thought she was beautiful. She liked how she smiled. She was vivacious and outgoing. Rather than talk to her, she texted her because she was afraid. She was on shore. She said, I'm gay. I'm really interested in you. Would you like to go out? And Tori answered yes. And that's how it started.
Erin has been raised in a devout Christian family, but she defies her parents to be with the love of her life.
Her parents disapproved of her relationship with Tori. Even though they accepted that it was going on, she felt like she couldn't talk to her mother and dad about it.
Eventually, Erin's parents accept the relationship and even allow the girls to move into the family home. Erin is in heaven.
Tori was the first real relationship she had with a woman. And within a couple months, she was engaged. This love of her life said yes. They were planning to go somewhere to get married. This was her life.
It's not uncommon for a possessive person, once they're involved with someone, to neglect other important people in their life, friends, family, even parents. It's as if they only feel whole or complete when they're with the object of their desire. Erin is focused solely on Tori, but Tori does not share the same intense feelings.
Tori was a loving, giving girl. So you get a feeling that she went into this relationship with an open mind. You know, you don't feel that she was the kind of person that would use someone just to experiment. That there was something there, but it didn't work.
When Tori catches up with her ex-fiancé on a weekend away, she realizes where her future lies.
She felt that her and Erin were close enough that she could tell Erin, this isn't working. I am going back with my boyfriend. But Erin, who had one friend, the friend was the woman that she loved. She gave up all the other relationships, and now she's walking away.
Erin's dream is shattered by the twin triggers of abandonment and jealousy. As a possessor, she sees only one solution, and to carry it out, she seeks the advice of a family friend, Billy Neer.
She was texting Billy Neer. She said that she wanted to shoot Tori because Tori was unfaithful to her and was leaving her for her former boyfriend, but she didn't know how to use a gun. She texted him, "What ammunition should I get and where should I go for it?" He texted back, "This is what you get."
And right there is where Erin's plan should have been stopped. If Billy had called the police, Tori would be alive. Instead, Billy gives her instructions on how to use the gun and recommends a particular ammunition. I have no patience for this kind of thing. If someone is asking you to help murder someone, they're not in their right mind, go to the police. You could be saving a life, and you won't go to prison either. March 25th, 2011. Erin watches Tori sleep for 20 minutes.
She said she was thinking, should I set her free and let her go? Or should I kill her?
Like many possessors before her, Erin comes to the conclusion, if I can't have you, no one can.
Erin didn't wake up Tori, just looked at her and shot her twice in the head.
Incredibly, with 2 bullets in her skull, Tori is still alive. So Erin finishes the job.
Erin went, found a hammer, smashed her twice on the face to destroy her face, to make sure she was dead. She called her mother and said, "Someone just broke in. They hurt Tori. I don't know what to do." And her mother said, just wait there, I'll be there."
Erin claims an intruder, possibly even Tori's ex-boyfriend, broke in and killed her. But physical evidence tells a different story. In 2014, Erin Everett is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. I don't think Erin consciously covered up her possessive nature. She just kind of blended into the wallpaper. All the signs were there, but nobody picked them up. That is not the case with Arlene Lawless. Alarm bells are ringing loud and clear when Arlene attaches herself to Normie Benner in a small fishing town in Maine.
I told Normie, I said, "You'll never get away from her, Normie." The first time I met her, I said, I had a bad feeling about her.
Year-old Normie Benner is a big-hearted bachelor and the apple of his mom, Dawn's, eye.
He worked as a fisherman, clam digger. He liked working outside. He was always friendly, and he attracted a lot of people because he wasn't judgmental. He would just accept anybody for who they was, so he had a lot of different friends, different kind of people.
Normie is a catch, and in the spring of 2012, 25-year-old Arlene Lawless reels him in.
Arlene told me how she loved Normie. He was the best thing she ever knew. He was the best father. I said, "You've only known him a week, Arlene." And she said, "I still know." She said, "I'd never do anything to hurt your son or your family." She just seemed weird to me.
True and lasting love at first sight may happen in the movies, but rarely in the real world. We might feel a certain chemistry after a first date, but the possessive person is already picking out curtains and looking for more room in your closet. Going too far too fast is a sign you're dealing with a possessive personality, and the insecurity will follow, and it will be profound. From the start, Arlene's greatest fear is that Normie will leave her. But the tighter she clings, the more he feels suffocated.
Normie said she's really saying weird things. She wakes me up in the night saying, "Are you gonna leave me?" He said, "I try to break up with her, she don't listen to me." I said, "Well, you just gotta say no is no, just stay home." But he didn't, he just went back.
A possessor's constant fears and suspicions can become a self-fulfilling prophecy and push their partner away. There's nothing sexy about insecurity. On July 21st, 2012, Normie sets out to end the relationship. His mother drives him to Arlene's place.
He said, "Why does she latch on?" So I said, "Because she has nobody else." He said, "You're right." And that was the last thing. He went into the house. He said, "I hope to be home in an hour. I'll call you in an hour."
Arlene takes the breakup badly, and to ease the blow, Normie agrees to stay the night. But when he turns his back, Arlene strikes. And then turns the gun on herself.
Arlene, did you shoot Norm too?
Yes, because he was gonna leave me.
And that made you really upset, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly, Arlene survives the suicide attempt. She's recovering in the hospital when she confesses to police.
Did it take him a while to die?
Yep.
How long do you think it took him to die?
All night, Sunday.
All day Sunday?
Yep.
So he just laid there in bed and you laid beside him?
Yep.
Arlene's possessive streak couldn't let Normie go. But once he's dead, she can't live with what she's done.
So what happens when you wake up and realize that you're still alive? It's a hard question, but were you upset that you were still alive?
Yeah.
And what about now?
Yeah.
What would you do different if you could now?
I'd shoot me twice.
In 2013, Arlene Lawless is sentenced to 35 years for Normie's murder.
I said, "You know, you ripped our world apart." She said, "I know I did. You did rip our world apart, but you can't take our memories. We love our son, and you cannot take that away from us. We're a close family, and you're not ripping us apart."
Humans are inclined to be a little possessive and definitely protective of those we love. It's why we care for our family, our friends, and our community. We don't want to lose them. A little pang of jealousy is a natural human response. But if that feeling becomes more intense and doesn't go away, perhaps rather than looking at others, you should look in the mirror. Maybe the possessor is you.